Hello everyone and welcome back to another top 4 fave horror movies of mine, and this time I have scoured through Amazon Prime to see what is available included with Amazon Prime Video right now. And I've found a handful that I think you guys might like. Also, if you are a horror fan like me, then I highly recommend signing up to Amazon Prime Video for your horror fix. Not sponsored, but you know, feel free to sponsor me, Amazon. Just, you know, I'm available. But Prime Video has so many horror movies, I cannot even explain to you how many horror movies there are, and I'm pretty sure that's because anyone can actually upload their movies, so there is just the biggest log of movies over there. Now that isn't to say that independent movies and short films aren't good, because I have seen a lot of short films over on YouTube that have really freaked me out. Do you guys remember that Lights Out short that they ended up turning into a full-blown movie, which really wasn't good? Like, she keeps flicking the light on and off, and the person's there, and then at the end, there's that just creepy demon thing hanging over her like side light. That was terrifying. That freaked me the hell out. The full-blown movie with probably a way bigger budget was just not as good. But hey, that's a whole other video. So let's get into my first Prime Video horror movie that I think you guys are gonna love. But before we do that, I'm just gonna shout out Into the AM. They sent me a whole bunch of really cool t-shirt designs, including this one I am wearing now. It is super pretty, but also super creepy, so definitely my aesthetic. But if you want some awesome designs that have some really creepy aspects, but just incredible artwork on them anyway, head on over to Into the AM and you can use my code CREA. Check them out and the link will be in the description down below. First off, we have the horror movie Let Me In. Now this is actually a remake of the Swedish movie Let the Right One In, which I saw way before this one actually came out, and honestly they kept so closely to the original that it's practically the same movie. Let Me In is about a boy called Owen who forms a friendship with his new neighbour Abby, who isn't like other girls. No, literally. As a whole bunch of murders start happening in their small town, Owen starts to come to the realization that his seemingly innocent new friend might actually be a vampire. What I love about this movie is it has some great characters and some really good chemistry. Owen is played by Cody Smith-McPhee and Abby is played by Chloe Grace Moretz, which I've just realized both have three names. They have 3 names. Interesting. And of course, one of my favourite things is about how badass Abby is as a character and how gory some of these kills are. If you like your vampire movies to be dark and bloody instead of sparkly and sexy, then I highly recommend checking out this movie or the original. Honestly, they're both as good as one another. Next up is The Babadook. Now this one gets mixed reviews, but honestly, it really creeped me out. The Babadook is about a mother called Amelia who is struggling to raise her out-of-control son, Samuel, as he starts to have constant nightmares about an evil monster that's trying to kill them. Then, one day, a storybook arrives at their home called The Babadook, and Samuel has to try and convince his mother that the Babadook is actually the monster that he's been having these nightmares about. Now this is more of a psychological horror, so if you're after gore, there isn't really any. But the atmosphere and tension in this movie, to me, was unreal. It creeped me out so much when I watched this movie for the first time that I was actually kind of scared to sleep in my room on my own. The Babadook himself is just so creepy sounding and looking, and the way he talks, I hate the way he talks. It's like, Babadook. Hated it. Absolutely hated that. But the film has a wonderful way of really messing with your perception as well as the characters in the film, and constantly has you questioning what the hell is going on. If you like psychological horrors or really enjoyed the horror movies Sinister or Insidious, then I highly recommend watching The Babadook. I think you'll really enjoy it. Babadook. It's not like a Beetlejuice situation, is it? If I say it, he's gonna turn up. Now, if you love your slashers and gore and horror movies and you're a big fan of films like Hostel and Saw, then you have to check out The Collector on Prime Video. This movie is about an ex-con called Arkin, I know, frickin' cool name, who's trying to get his life on track but one evening decides to actually rob his employer. But what he doesn't realise is that somebody else has already broken in, taken the family hostage and rigged the whole house full of deadly traps. Not only does this movie have a cracking soundtrack and introduce me to the incredibly talented Nico Vega, you'll recognise the song when you hear it, but it has such a good villain to hero storyline. I just love movies that really twist the story on its head, like Don't Breathe, where you have a bunch of kids who break into a house, they're supposed to be the bad guys, but then it turns out that the person whose house they've broken into is actually way more evil than them. The Collector himself has a really creepy design. He's this massive guy that wears like a burlap kind of skin looking mask that he wears to terrify terrify his victims, and Arkin very quickly becomes someone that you're rooting for. If you want gore that will make you squirm, badass heroes and villains, and mazes of lethal traps that would make Jigsaw himself proud, then go watch The Collector. Also, there is a second movie called The Collection, which isn't actually included in Amazon Prime Video, but you can rent the movie for like £3.49 or something. And trust me, you're gonna want to see the next one. And lastly, we have the movie The Invitation, which is another psychological horror that I think you guys are gonna love. Now, I would have put this one higher up on the list because this was one of my favourite psychological horrors that I'd seen kind of recently. Unfortunately, it's not actually on Amazon Prime Video UK. But if you do have a VPN or you're outside of the UK, then you can still watch this included in your Prime subscription. The Invitation is about a guy called Will, played by the incredibly handsome Tom Hardy doppelganger Logan Marshall Green, who accepts a dinner party invitation
There it is!
from his ex-wife. But he soon comes to realise that his ex-wife isn't the same person she used to be, and starts to suspect that her and her new partner might actually have some sinister plans for this seemingly innocent dinner party. Now, this film has a lot of flashbacks and loads of tension, so this is one that you're going to want to sit down, curl up in a blanket, get a hot drink, and really pay attention to. I won't go into too many details as to what makes this couple so creepy because that will spoil the surprise. But if you liked the films Hereditary, Midsommar, and You're Next, then this film has a very similar vibe. Maybe not as much gore or shock value as Ari Aster's creation, but it has just as much tension and unease. If you figured out what was going on at this creepy dinner party before the characters in the movie did, then let me know down in the comments. And there you are, some of my favourite horror movies that you can go and watch on Amazon Prime Video right now. Well, mostly. If you've seen these movies, then let me know down in the comments which one was your favourite. And if this list inspired you to go watch them, then come on back later on and let me know what you think. I have a few more ideas of videos that I want to do based on Amazon Prime horror movies because honestly, the horror movie list is never ending. I must have been scrolling for about an hour the other day trying to see if I recognised any of the horror movies that I was, a big fan of, and it just doesn't end. It literally doesn't end. So make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you can see more content like this. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'll put all of the links down in the description below. And if you want to support more content like this or see a whole bunch of really awesome cosplays, then head on over to my Patreon. But for now, I'll bid thee farewell and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.